A congressional delegation consisting of 5 Republicans and 2 Democrats recently met with representatives from Ukraine's parliament in Poland. During the meeting, the Ukrainians expressed gratitude for the aid provided by the United States and requested F-16 fighter jets to assist them in their conflict with Russia. While most members of the delegation described the meeting as cordial and informative, one member, Rep. Anna Paulina Luna, Republican Florida, left feeling indignant and expressed her concerns in an email to a reporter. In her email, Luna claimed that the Ukrainians demanded F-35s and believed that every American should contribute $10 a month to fund their war efforts. It's important to note that the Ukrainians did not actually request F-35s, but Luna's frustration with the U.S. involvement in the conflict led her to believe that it could potentially escalate into a larger conflict. Luna also mentioned that her constituents in Florida had minimal concerns about Ukraine and that she intended to brief her colleagues on the encounter. Luna's perspective reflects the sentiments of some conservative members of Congress who align with former President Donald Trump's America First ideology. According to this viewpoint, financial commitments to foreign countries, including Ukraine, are viewed with skepticism. They argue that the billions of dollars spent on Ukraine's war could have been better utilized for domestic priorities such as combating the opioid crisis. Senior Republicans who support the war effort fear that this anti-Ukraine sentiment within their party may gain traction as the conflict continues and Trump's influence remains prominent leading up to the 2024 elections. Commitment to Ukraine appears to be holding strong for now. Despite these concerns, the U.S. President Joe Biden recently announced an additional $1.2 billion in military aid, and discussions of spending cuts by House Republicans have not included reductions in Ukraine funding. While some Republicans have proposed resolutions or amendments to halt further aid or increase oversight, their support has been limited. Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who previously expressed caution about providing a blank check to Ukraine, reaffirmed the United States' commitment to supporting Ukraine in its war efforts. However, there is evidence suggesting that the anti-Ukraine sentiment within the Republican Party resonates with a significant portion of its base. Recent surveys have shown that a majority of Republicans do not believe that U.S. interests are at stake in Ukraine and oppose providing weapons and financial support to the country. This sentiment aligns with the more populist and isolationist wing of the party, which has gained influence in recent years. Matt Gaetz, who are vocal opponents of aid to Ukraine, argue that the U.S. Vance and Rep. JD Republican politicians like Rep. should prioritize its own interests rather than tying itself to Ukraine's fate. They draw parallels to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, which they believe had negative consequences for their communities and the nation as a whole. They argue that the dominant foreign policy ideology within the Republican Party, neoconservatism, has harmed the country and that a more restrained approach is needed. Some Democrats, on the other hand, reject the comparison between the wars in the Middle East and supporting Ukraine. They see Russia's aggression against Ukraine as a dictatorship invading a democracy and believe that supporting Ukraine is crucial for defending democratic values. Rep. Barbara Lee, who famously cast the lone vote against authorizing military force after the 9/11 attacks, emphasized the importance of standing with democracies under attack. Democrats and some Republicans attribute the anti-Ukraine sentiment within the GOP to the influence of former President Trump. They argue that Trump's affinity for authoritarian leaders and his refusal to unequivocally support Ukraine during his presidency have shaped the party's position. However, opponents of Ukraine aid like Vance maintain that their stance is not driven by a loyalty to Trump but rather a lack of a coherent strategic vision for American foreign